Heavenly Manna, September 10th. The chosen text from the Ephesians chapter 4 verses 29. Let no corrupt communications proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. The depraved taste hedges itself behind conscience and declares that it is always right to speak the truth, and hence God cannot have meant that speaking the truth would be slander, but that in condemning evil speaking and slander as works of the flesh and the devil, he must have meant the speaking of that which is false, untrue. This is a great mistake. A slander is equally a slander, whether it be a true or whether it be a false, and is so regarded not only in the law of God but also in the law of civilized men. A slander is anything which is uttered with the intention of injury to another, whether true or false, and the laws of men agree with the law of God that such injury to another is wrong. Reprint number 2444. Amen.
Have you ever stopped to think that telling the truth, depending on why you're telling it, could actually cause harm?
Mm-hmm.
It kind of goes against what many of us just assume about words, doesn't it?
It really does.
And that specific question, well, that's what we're diving into today. We're looking at some profound wisdom from a commentary on Ephesians 4.29.
Right, the verse that says, "Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth."
Exactly. But that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And what's really striking is how this source just, completely reframes what we usually think of as slander.
Yeah, it's a perspective shift, definitely. We tend to think, okay, if it's true, I can say it. End of story.
Mm-hmm.
But this commentary, it really suggests our intent, the reason behind the words, might actually matter more than just whether they're factually correct.
Especially when we're talking about things that could hurt someone.
Exactly. It really changes how you evaluate your own speech.
Okay, so let's unpack this, because the source talks about what it calls a great mistake.
Ah, yes.
And this mistake, which is pretty deep-seated for a lot of us, is this idea that telling the truth can't be slander, period.
Right. That just stating facts, no matter how damaging they might be, is just being honest, not malicious.
We sort of give it a pass.
We do. And what's fascinating here is the text's direct statement. A slander is equally a slander, whether it be true or whether it be false.
Wow.
That's a key point for you listening, because it immediately shifts the focus, doesn't it?
He does.
It means the truthfulness, while, yeah, it's often important, it's not the only thing, and maybe not even the main thing determining if something is slander. It adds this whole other layer of, responsibility.
So, okay, if it's not just about the facts, then what does define slander according to this source? This is where it gets really interesting, because it gives a very clear definition. Slander is, quote, anything which is uttered with the intention of injury to another.
Intention of injury.
Yes, and it specifically adds whether true or false. So that intent, that desire to harm or diminish someone, that's the core issue.
Right.
It makes you think about, say, office gossip. You might share something true about a coworker.
Sure. Factually correct.
But if your purpose, maybe even subconsciously, is to kind of knock them down a peg,
undermine them somehow.
Yeah, then according to this source, that's actually slander, even though it was true.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this idea about injurious intent, regardless of truthfulness, it's presented as just fundamentally wrong.
Universally wrong.
Pretty much. The commentary points out this isn't just some, arbitrary rule. It's seen as a moral truth found in ancient ethical codes, sometimes called the law of God, but also reflected in the basic laws of civilized men.
The laws that help societies function.
Exactly. Laws that promote well-being. It underlines that damaging people with words, even true words, is just a timeless no-no across cultures.
Okay. So what does all this mean for us? For you, for me, just navigating our daily conversations?
Yeah, the practical application.
It brings us straight back to Ephesians 4.29, doesn't it? When it says avoid corrupt communication. Basically, any speech that tears down.
Degrades, diminishes.
Yeah. It's pushing us to think about the impact of our words, not just their accuracy. And instead, we should use speech that's good to the use of edifying, Words that build up, right?
And
Strengthen,
push.
maybe inspire.
And ultimately minister grace unto the hearers.
Delivering kindness, positivity, constructive support. It's about actively making sure our words lift people up, not tear them down, even if what we're saying is technically true.
Which brings up a really important question for reflection, I think.
What's that?
How often do we actually pause and consider the intention behind our own words?
Yeah.
Really ask ourselves, am I trying to help here, to connect? Or is there maybe a little bit of an edge?
A desire to injure or vent.
Yeah, even subtly. Even if it's all factual, the text kind of invites us to do an internal checkup, doesn't it? And not just what we say, but the spirit behind it.
That's a powerful thought to carry with you, isn't it? As you go through your week.
Definitely.
How might this idea that even true speech can be slandered if the intent is harm, how might that actually change how you communicate? Maybe foster a bit more grace, less accidental harm in just everyday chats.
It's a challenge to move beyond just surface truth.
Yeah, to a deeper, more ethical way of using our words, something to really mull over.